Yes, sir. Please proceed.
Good morning to one and all, respected dignitaries. Today's distinguished guest speaker, Professor Dr. Saili Gankar Madam, faculty members and all participants. I welcome you all to this session of 1 week refresher program on innovative teaching learning methods. It is an honor and privilege for us to have Professor Dr. Saili Gankar, Vice Chancellor, D.Y. Patil University, Pune with us. I take this opportunity to introduce Dr. Saili Gankar Madam. She is currently working as a Vice Chancellor at D.Y. Patil University. She is having 29 years of experience in academics and industry. She has handled role of director for 2 key institutes of MIRS MIT. She has been appointed at various positions like National President, National Chairperson for Women Entrepreneurs Development Council, as well as a member of IQAC of Symbiosis Center for Management. She is National and International Compliance and Accreditation Specialist. As far as her role in professional bodies is concerned, previous slide. Next. Okay. She is having 40 plus articles published in Indian Express. There are 75 research publications to her credit at national and international level. She has prepared, written and delivered 70 plus educational video films to UGC New Delhi. 8 PhD scholars have already been awarded with PhD under her eligible guidance, and also she has filed patent. As far as her role on professional bodies is concerned, Governor of RBI has appointed her as a member of PGDM Executive Council at NIBM. She has worked as chairperson of Women Entrepreneurs Committee at MCCIA Pune. She has been appointed as a member of Regional Advisory Committee for Central Board for Workers' Education. She has also worked as a member of Executive Committee, Indian Society for Training. There are many feathers in her cap as far as major achievements are concerned. She has received APJ Kalam Leadership Award. She has received Dronacharya Award. She has received Mother Teresa Shiksha Ratna Award, as well as National Award for Best Entrepreneur Trainer Motivator. She is a member of Board of Studies of Interdisciplinary Sciences of Symbiosis Skills and Open University. She has been appointed as an assessor for appointment of professors by Malaysian Public University, Malaysia. She has been awarded as Best Teacher by Lions Club Pune, and she has also received Shikshan Gaurav Puraskar by Pune Municipal Corporation. Now, I invite Professor Dr. Saili Gankar to kindly guide the participants by sharing her valuable views about the session topic, Strategic Planning for Teaching, Learning and Industry Collaboration. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm grateful to you for inviting me for such a lovely program, and especially for faculty development. I think the time has come, and we know it very well that most of the time who is to be trained. So the first one is that the one who really change the minds of the student and really create them as one of the best corporate citizen of this country. And therefore, I think I was listening to the question answer sessions, and especially the questions which have been asked by a few faculty members. Would like to answer those also maybe at the end. I request them to re-ask those questions because I have also my certain different perspective on those topics. So wonderful, great morning to all of you. I'm sure that the things are really good because everything is going in a very a very worrying situation, creating a worrying situation, which is not only now on the media, but nearby houses, nearby family members, and even the relatives are suffering a lot. Time is really very tested for all of us. And of course, we need to be very strong together. And that is what I feel. So great morning to everyone, great weekend to everyone, and especially investing your time for the learning process. Would like to share a few thoughts on the topic which has been assigned to me. The topic is very interesting. and it is talking about strategic learning, teaching, and the industry collaboration. So I'm going to divide it into two parts. One, of course, in the strategic process, a document which I had created, for my faculty members at campus. I would like to show it here so that you can understand my perspective and what I'm trying to do it. We know it very well that India is changing, and especially during this pandemic, we changed a lot. And we never thought that we will be able to use the technology so effectively for engaging our students and especially delivering those academic inputs to them. And while doing so, uh, I think a lot of changes are required in terms of faculty to prepare, deliver. Uh, the professor has introduced me, and he said that more than 50 to 60 videos I have created for UGC. And that too, I'm talking about in the year 2013-14. So 6 years back, I worked on those areas and tried to create the content and delivered those to the videos with the help of UGC. Now, if you look at it, we have everything and we are doing it so successfully, right? At that time, I still remember writing those MCQs and cases, helping students to understand the topic. That was really a challenge. But today it has become so easy that everyone, in almost 7 years of time, if you look at it, there is a massive change which has been increased in this country, especially in the teaching processes. And I think that's a beautiful sign for all of us and a learning process for all of us. So let me start talking about let me share my screen with you. It's a document, right? So I'm going to share a document with you. The reason is I'm not going to share this, the PPT kind of stuff. So this is a doc which I would like to take you through so you can understand what my perspective is and how I look at it as a strategic point of, from the strategic point of view. We know the term very well, what strategy is, and I'm sure that everyone use the strategy even at home, right? Even during our interactions, personal interaction, official interaction, we always talk about what is your strategy, right? The strategy in terms of being a professor for management, the strategy is basically it gives you a complete map for the whole activity, right? It talks about vision, mission, objectives, program, policies, procedures, and implementation of that. And that is a comprehensive, we can say that is a strategy. So why do we need this? Why this particular topic we are talking about today, this morning, especially for learning and teaching? Because we always think that we know everything and we don't need anything, right? Teachers feel that, okay, this is my topic. I can go anytime in class and I can deliver it, right? It's not the case, right? It's quite tough because it has certain objectives. It has certain focus areas which are required to be governed by the teacher, right? And therefore, if you look at it, the National Board of Accreditation, NBA, NAC, and IQSC, right? I'm sure that your organization, your institute, or your department have started creating the documents for those compliances and getting those the accreditations or rankings for our institutions. Why should we do this? Why these ranking organizations are expecting us to perform better? And that is what I was trying to jot it down on my paper, in my doc, and I wanted to share it with all my faculty members, and the same I'm doing it with everyone here who is attending it. So let me share my screen with you. It's a doc. Again, I'm sharing this. That it's a document. It's a Word file which I am sharing it here, and which will help you to understand what it is. One second. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So when you talk about all those things, right? So I think the process is very interesting, and it helps everyone to really map their own activities, and that the time has come. As I've said, that most of the time we feel that we are doing great thing and we can really change the students' mindset. Beautiful question, which was been asked by a very important, a very valid question, which was asked by one of the professor, that there are no examination of 10th, 12th, possibly, right? And even the course curriculum has not been delivered. In such situation, this whole batch is going to enter in our campuses. And then how can we can transform their lives, right? So that they can be because at the end of the education, what we expect is that we want them to be employable, we want them to work, we want them to really productive, and we want them to reach to the certain heights in their career. And that's what we are trying to do it. So how can we deliver that? What kind of wheel which has to be really rotated at the back of our mind? I think that is required to be understood very well by all of us. And therefore, in this talk, I'm trying to share few things which I am talking about, right? So I'm talking about that, yes, the strategic plan, which is, this is a document which I've created for my faculty member, but then of course, every information, every knowledge is to be shared. Unless we share it, we cannot really improve it. We can't learn from our own thinking processes. So this is a loud thinking, which I'm doing it with all participants, those who are here. So if you look at it, we're talking about the strategic plan, and especially for learning and teaching, right? And where we are saying that, yes, the strategic approach is required. And when we talk about that, today the business is today the education has become a business, right? Business not in terms of profit, but of course in terms of processes, in terms of outcome, right? And here the outcome is related with, we know it very well, we always talk in terms of stakeholders. Of course, internal, our own staff, teaching and non-teaching staff, and of course along with them then the student, parents, industry, consultancies, the government organization, and of course now we are talking about internationalization in our universities or maybe in our institute. And that is what is required to be done very well. And therefore, if you look at it, I have divided the whole doc into the three important parts, and that is excellence in learning, excellence in teaching, and excellence in the curriculum. Unless we work on these three pillars, it will be very difficult for all the teachers, right, to implement these kind of the innovations, what you're talking from the in your FDB program. I think that we have to really be concerned about it. So if you look at it, I'm not going to take you through the complete line to line, but of course we know it very well that National Education Policy has made a wonderful efforts and trying to do it in a very large context, right? That how student who is going to be there in the campus, right, can really learn very well and work in the organization. So we are talking about, and now if you look at it, National Education Policy has been divided into three parts, right? A, of course, the change at individual level, at educational level. So one is education, and second is the personality of an individual. We never thought that the concept of languages, the concept of human values, history, or any other subject student can take as per his choice and really can really embark his journey for a wonderful life. And I think that's what National Education Policy is expecting, right? And because the world, if you look at it, I'm sure that those who have the travel abroad and worked with these leading organizations, we know it very well. They have the subject basket. You know, they have 1,000 subjects available with them. I have visited many leading organizations of the world, and I've seen that how do they implement it, even in IIMs and IITs, those who are the benchmark in our Indian education. So if you look at it, what they have done is that they are trying to talk about transforming the individual lives and of course the communities, right? So you will find that how communities can be really connected, stakeholders can be connected. It's a very challenging task with all of us. So we have to lay down our vision, which can help us to focus on certain areas. That one is multidisciplinary in the knowledge and skills, right? And that is what, and not only multidisciplinary, soon we are going to talk about interdisciplinary, soon we are going to talk about transdisciplinary also, right? So this particular policy is going to make the changes enormously in the future of the Indian education. But for that, right, change is not that so easy. We know it very well. It takes its own time, and therefore we need to understand the nuts and bolts of education policy. We have to think it, we have to meditate on it, and based on that, then we can say that, okay, now we are ready to implement. It's a complete guideline which is given, but here I'm talking about knowledge and skills, which are very important. So now here henceforth, if you look at it, we need to prepare the students not only for the at the national or even at local level, but we have to give them the inputs at international level. I'm very happy to know about it, that your faculty members have done Coursera certification, your students have done Coursera certification. So I'm sure you must have gone through the kind of method which has been followed by Coursera, right? The way they create their own. Professor Joshi was talking about course plan, and then he said about there are many things. You know, the innovation is it depends upon the faculty member. I always feel, you know, more you are keen and interested with your job, right? Job, when you say job, then approach is different, then various other parameters come. But when you feel that this is my duty and which I have to do it very interestingly, I think the whole perspective gets changed. So when your course plan, automatically you will prepare it, right? You don't need any format for that. But that is what is required to be done from the within, and that self-motivation is required to be with. I hope you all are there, because everyone is, I can't see anyone, but then in between, if you can just give me the reactions, right, which is a wonderful, if you look at the base of your screen, you have the one smiley, right? So I can make it out that at least, thank you, the Bharati Institute, someone has said. Okay, so I because as a being a teacher, you know it very well, and so many memes are coming, and we know it what is happening. Professor, I have a wonderful meme, I can't share it right now here, but then professor is also not there, who has organized the camera, and student is also not there. So I'm sure that though it's in a lighter way to bring you back in the class. So I just want you to be around so that it will help me that how I'm thinking, and really these thoughts are going to help me or not, that I'm trying to do it over here. So I was talking about, it's not only what I'm talking about is the NAC or NBA or NIRF ranking. But what I feel is that our job is a very noble job, where faculty has to take the ownership of their own duties and perform it very well. Because if you look at it, we have to really focus on highest quality of education, world-class research, and of course, giving the fruits to our student as global and local partnership. And therefore, in our approaches, what is required is that we have to be more moving towards innovation using technology, which will help us to enhance our teaching and learning processes. And therefore, I think each of us, it's not only DYPU, I think the whole teaching community of India has to ensure that they increase their participation, and of course the tertiary education, which we all are talking about. Unless and until we are global educator, it will be very difficult for us to work for the students and the government. Now let me start. So this was I was trying to set the tone for my interaction, but what is strategy and how we can really work on. Now let me understand the principles of strategy, which I would like to share it with all of you. That the first one is that we need to really focus on the central concept of the frameworks, right? And the purpose of the teaching and the assessment at DYPGU, my university. And that is what I am sharing it with you. The first thing which I always focused on is that the learning, it has to be a student-centered learning. You know, you have to really increase the focus, right, on that how student is learning, what kind of efforts are we taking, and therefore we're talking about, one is student learning, and second is the social concept which national education policy is talking about. So one, we're talking about engagement of the student in their own learning process, right? How to ensure it? What are the modus operandi? What are the processes? What kind of efforts we have to take? We're going to talk about it. Second is, can we have two-way interaction with the staff and the students, right? So I'm not talking about only faculty members, even the non-teaching staff. Most of the time, I think the focus at the campuses, what we have lost is that we never involved the non-teaching staff, right? Their duties have been changed now. And I think their roles are being changed. We need to train them. We need to make them that we are student-oriented organization and student is our customer. The way we talk, the way we speak, the way we use our languages in terms of academic and research is required to be really developed in the campus so that the whole staff, students are required to be together for all these purposes. And the non-teaching staff, I'm talking about training and placement department. I'm talking about people who are running consultancy, people who are running incubation centers, right? I think all this is an ecosystem which is required to be created at the campus. Then we can say that, yes, we are embarking our journey on a world-class education or maybe moving towards that particular objective. So if you look at it, that we have to really work on these kind of the three important areas. One is interaction, and second is, of course, experiential and participatory, the pedagogies, right? What has happened is that a lot of information is available on in the internet. Students, they are not aware which the information is important to them, right? How they can use those the information or through like could be the certification programs, could be your videos which are available, right? I think, or maybe the literature or secondary data which is available on internet, right? Or even our own databases where our universities have those. I think that is required to be done very effectively. So that is to be developed, identified, so that we can really ensure that they are doing it successfully. So if you look at it, the learning and teaching, right, this is the main part which I would like to talk about. And then we have to definitely, there are other things which I have added, but if you are interested, I can just quickly go through it. One of the very important thing which is important in any education system is that teaching is to be valued, recognized, rewarded, and celebrated, right? In terms of what? Right? In terms of what? Is it only the recognition? Is it only the awards? Is it only the certification which we are giving to the faculty members on 5th of September? No, I think there are many things are required to be there. And therefore, we need to identify the best practices which will help us to reward our education, the missionaries, right? And those are teachers. And I think those teachers are required to be respected, valued, and rewarded. And we have to really celebrate their success in our campuses, in our classrooms, in our faculty rooms. And that mindset which we have is required to be changed at I can say that at a very high level, beyond the words which I'm trying to, and I'm sure that you can understand what I'm trying to make a point over here, right? So the teacher to teacher connect, right? Or teacher to the researcher connect. So we have to create certain groups or the think tanks in the organization which can really change the processes which are there in our systems. And therefore, I think those things are really important. So in short, we are talking about that our goal, right? What my university, your institute, every university in in this land has to focus on the one, our students, our staff, our employers, including the public and private organization, accrediting or the statutory bodies, government. We need to really understand state government, right? So central, state government, HRD ministry. There are various ministries for the different functions. I think we need to really create an the ecosystem is there. The systems, the organizations are there, but the connecting dot is required. All of us, we need to come together to create a wonderful partnership and collaboration, which can really contribute to the student, making the change in the life of the students and faculty member, of course. And once your capacity has been built, then the institute or department can, even I feel that many a time in our organizations, there are certain small departments which really perform very well, I think they can take up this particular activities. Even a single department could be a training placement, could be a mechanical department, could be, now take an example in the electrical, the engineering department, right? Or maybe ENTC department. Nowadays, I'm expecting a huge the contribution by three important engineering areas: one, mechanical; second, computer; and of course, electrical. These three departments, if they come together and create a wonderful idea for their own students, because if you look at it around, there are so many problems which are coming up. And if these three departments have a collaborative approach within their engineering colleges, they can contribute a lot to this country. Okay, so in this term, I'm sure that once you do that, once your appetite is increased, move from one level to the other level, right? It's building the capacity, and that is required to be done very effectively by your faculty members, and this whole responsibility is with the faculty members and the students. We have to take that, and that can really contribute to move towards the international level, and even at of course, at national level. So now I'm trying to share few tables with you that how we should do it, right? How it has to be implemented, right? So what kind of efforts to be done when we talk about the strategic pillar and what can be done. So now you will understand, because the topic is given to me as a strategic approach. So I designed this particular document long back and trying to share it with all of you, that these are my strategic pillar. These are my objective. As I've rightly said, what do you mean by strategy? Strategy basically talks about vision, mission, objective, then your procedures, processes, programs, and policies, right? So, and that is what exactly has been assessed when your National Board of Accreditation or NAAC or QS ranking or ASSBB, whatever you say, those people, they come and try to find it out in these terminologies. So if you look at it, what do you mean by so three pillars I'm now trying to share it with you. In between, if someone can tell me, please let me know how much time I have. What time is we are going to break, Breaker sir? Can anyone, any participant? I think he's not there. Okay. Can anyone tell me up to what time is your session so that I can close? Okay. Fine. Okay, thank you. So I'm talking about three important part of it. One is excellence in learning process. Here we are talking about collaborative approaches. We are talking about that how can we, what do you mean by collaborative culture or student learning culture? Right. I think in our campus, right, I always train my faculty members whenever I attend any faculty development program. I think first thing we have to, being educational institute, we have to have our own vocabulary, right? We have vocabulary in terms of language, right? And that language is to be a single language, right? I'm not talking about भाषेबद्दल बोलत नाहीये. Okay, I'm talking about organization communication language, right? And that is to be used everywhere, right? It has to be implemented at every level. So when you talk about course plan, when you talk about objective, when you talk about outcome, when you talk about clubs, when you talk about research methodology, when you talk about primary data, secondary data, when you talk about experimentation, when you talk about incubation, when you talk about the ownership, when you talk about entrepreneurship, I think certain language is required in terms of vocabulary is required to be created in the whole campus in terms of could be. And therefore, if you look at it, NAAC, NBA, they come and they ask you, what is your vision? What is your mission, right? Is that vision and mission displayed in the corridors? Is it displayed in the offices? What is the structure of the organization? It means that we want to create a culture which will help each and every student and faculty member to direct their thought process in that direction, right? And therefore, I think that is very important. So when you talk about project, when you talk about online sessions, when you talk about MCQs, when you talk about project-based learning, when you talk about using virtual modus operandi, I think that language is required to be discussed effectively in the classrooms. And not only classrooms, even in faculty room, even in our administration offices. So what will happen? Everyone will be on one particular way or on one road, and that will help you to create a wonderful atmosphere. The atmosphere, I'm talking about the culture. Ensure that the student voice is heard and incorporated into the learning experiences. I'm talking about feedback, right? Feedback is required to be taken by all the campuses, right? And this is very important. Feedback in terms of, right? I'm talking about in terms of not only the faculty judgment, the learning experiences, right? And that is to be probed effectively with the appropriate feedback mechanism system, right? And that will help you to really put those the gray areas in a very active processes, which can really contribute for giving a wonderful experience to the student. And once we are done with this, I think that can help you to create an approach which will really give a wonderful the outlook to the experience of the student learning process. Provide student-centered learning infrastructure. Right now, if I ask you what type of infrastructure required, you will give me a list of it, right? But at the end of the day, I think today the technology has become so effective that we can really give a wonderful experience to the student. I heard that your students have done the Coursera. I think that is what is very a wonderful experience to the student, that how these international organizations, international companies are approaching, or international universities are creating or giving the experience. That's beautiful experience which you have given. Such kind of experience, more number of experiences are required to be given to the students so that they can really learn from that. Infrastructure, of course, I think that is very important. Your labs, your the campus around, the facilities, latest technology is required to be there to give them the world-class experience. If not, the basic at least has to be there, and that can help you a lot. Even even if you say me now, this is the pandemic situation, but I would have loved to send my students directly in companies to get the industry experience and understand how the layout is, how the technology is, and how they can learn. So I think the time has come where we can really take those kind of efforts in experience, in excellence in learning, optimize the student learning experiences for retention and success, right? Now, if I don't know the all 82 participants are here or not, right? The reason is I'm talking in terms of retention, retention in class, retention in program, retention in campus, retention in all the activities. They should feel that I should go and attend the, thank you, Anil Lunde sir, thank you. So what I'm trying to make a point here is that the student has to be retained. He should be anchored so well that he should not leave the classroom, right? And that is the success of our teaching. And that is required to be really done very well with the processes. And those processes, Professor Joshi said that the course plan. Now, this most of the time, I'll share a few things that we prepare the course plan, but then do we share those with our student? Okay, we share with the students also. The next question, right? Do we really implement it as it is, right? So take an example. This is my first session. On this day, I used to implement it that way, right? This is my day. On this day, I am implementing. I have started my first session. This is my first class. in first class, these are my objectives. This is what my points which I'm going to cover. These are my PPTs. This is the reading material, and this is the question which I'm going to ask you. So this was my template, which I used to share it with all my students. And if student is not attending, I used to create a wonderful the paper in front of me, and that too with the student names. And I used to ask the student the question, the one who is absent, and I made the class to sit in the fixed area, right? So it means that for my class, if the student is sitting, he will sit on table 1 from the day 1 to the end of the class. So my frame of mind that my students, the complete the dashboard, the class sitting classroom is in front of me. So what used to happen is that I used to ask the questions to the student. Hey, where are you? Right? Can you talk about it? Yesterday, I talked about this experience, and I used to catch a student who is not, who was not there in my earlier class. So what used to happen? He used to be, he used to get the signals that I am not, that I was absent in my class, and therefore today the professor is asking me the question which I'm not able to do it. First, either I have to update myself with the help of my co-colleagues, or I have to attend the class, right? And then the class was giving a wonderful experience to all of them. And that was my preparation. And for that, I prepared, and I prepared a lot for it, because every time a new discussion used to come in class, and for that I was ready to prepare myself. And if not, then I used to ask them that, okay, fine, I would like to come in your class again with this particular question tomorrow morning, right? And this helped them to have engagement in my classroom, right? And that helped a lot to the student. And today, if you look at it, many of my students have become director HR or the head HR, and or working at very top position. I'm so proud of it, right? Because the kind of strategy which I implemented in my class for laying down the course plan and making them learn in classes. So my class was never ever without the case studies. And therefore, if you look at it, IIMs, IITs, and even Harvard Business School, they have their course plan which are designed meticulously. I'm sure you must have taken this experience during your Coursera certification, that you have to complete this particular assignment, and without that, you cannot move further. And I think this is what is required to give them a wonderful learning to the all students. The second part is excellence in teaching. All right. Now, what do you mean by that? Right? Here I'm talking about the reconceptualizing the teaching process as a collaborative process, which includes peer learning and one second. Yeah, peer learning, and of course, the discipline related research. So what does it mean, right? I'm sure that the national education policy is expecting the same thing from us, right? So the faculty members, right, alumni, senior students, can we really create an ecosystem or a group in our campuses where they come together and they learn it? And I think that is what we are trying to give them a wonderful, the process of teaching in our campuses. A professor who is expert can really come in class, and that is what the concept of team teaching is. A senior professor coming in class along with the junior professor. So junior professor will implement. So they both sit together, they prepare the course plan together, and then they implement it. Right? We used to do it. I still remember when I was working with Entrepreneurship Center, right? I used to work along with one of my senior colleagues, and then he used to deliver more on what I can say that the important things which being a fresher, I was not able to, right? So I used to give them the presentation, and after the presentation or explaining those concepts, the teacher used to come, the trainer used to come, senior one, and explain it in the real context of the life. And that helped a lot, right, to change the mindset and develop the skills of the student. And that was the experience in teaching. So maybe in campuses, the senior professors can come together. Enough now what we have done till date, right? We really need to change our approaches because our responsibility is very high now. Henceforth, the reason is 2 years. I don't know about this year, but of course 1 year. And as professor said, that 10th examinations are not there. All students are being passed from 9th standard, whatever the standards they are. So this lot is going to come to our campuses maybe this year or maybe the next year. And how are we going to change their mind, the mindset, and of course the skill set, right? So I think that has been only possible when all the teachers in the campus, they will come together and they will ensure that, yes, this is what, and therefore that kind of unity is required in all education campuses. Okay, empower teachers to use the evidence to inform teaching, right? Evidence based, right? So here you have to, now in case of engineering, it's wonderful experience which we can give it to the student, right? In pharmacy, we can do that very nicely, right? In case of management, we have the cases to be used. I think we have to identify those, the evidences, right? Evidence in it means that how can we really make them learn and help them to understand that you have not learned and you have to learn or you have to improve in these areas. And that mechanism is required to be done very effectively. Is MCQ is going to help? Of course, MCQ can help. If you ask me, yes, right? But then if you give them the answers like yes, no, above, all, none of the above, then there is no learning, right? But if you design the MCQ, which is very complicated, like GMAT or maybe CAT examination, right? Or GRE, then they will understand that MCQ is not that easy. I hope you're understanding what I'm talking about. And that becomes the evidence for the student that I am not good at the concept which has been taught to me or which I have learned. I hope you're understanding what point I'm trying to make it here. So one is, of course, coming all faculty members together, or maybe getting industry expert, or maybe we have the consultant or the researcher. So we can have that collaborative learning approaches for the students, and that will help you to really effectively to engage the student in terms of the learning process. And this will help faculty to have a beautiful collaborative approach that maybe I'm not good at this concept, right? I think as a teacher, we have to keep our egos very away from ourselves, right? We are teacher. We need to accept that particular profession from the bottom of the heart, right? And if you accept that, that becomes very easy to accept the change or the resistance or the conflict which is there in the other's mind, right? People are going to say bad about you, but still, if you bad in terms of, I'm talking about the gray areas, or maybe they won't accept you as good you are, but still you have to really go and behave like a teacher. So can we have the collaborative approaches with the help of industry expert, our own faculty members, or a faculty from the outside of our university? They can come and they can also deliver it. The time has come where we can have the wonderful interactions, and then evidences are required to be given to inform teaching. Inform teaching, in advance you are informing and you are explaining, and therefore your program objectives, PCOs and all that help you to focus, and even the student. I still remember I used to have the classroom, my board divided into 3 parts, right? A whiteboard, right? That one, what is the objective? 2, whatever discussions I do in my class, and then outcome of the class, right? And that helped me and my student to really learn together effectively. Okay, develop and support teachers in the use of innovative practices. Now here the creativity of the teacher comes in picture, right? See, I think more you discuss, more you talk, more you take feedback from your faculty, your student, that will help you a lot, right? That they can tell you that this is what I would like to know about it, right? Or this is what I am facing a problem. And I think that will help you to really understand that what the student is facing a problem, and then you can give a wonderful solution to the students, those who can really we can say that those who can learn. Because try to understand, I used to, in my entrepreneurship class, right, I used to find out a backbencher, the one who creates more noise in the class, and he was my teacher, because the way he used to give me the experiences in terms of questions, and in terms of what I can say, making it challenging, right? And sometimes you will find that student, they don't accept your way of thinking. So I used to find out a most naughty, most creative, most right brainy student in my class who can question me a lot, right? And that became a formula for creating a wonderful engagement in the engaging experience to the student and learning engagement process to develop for the classroom. And that really works. And therefore, it depends on the individual faculty experiences, right? And how faculty takes it, right? And then that really help the faculty to come out with the innovative approaches, right? And I'm sure that that can be done. And today, if you look at it, we can have many innovative approaches. You can make them partner for your research programs. You can ask them to be the partner, work with him very closely for the projects or making the prototypes, right? So I think we can involve them in different contexts, and that can help us effectively. The one second. Yeah, the next part which I'm trying to make make a point over here is that the integration of research and professional development. Now, what should I tell you? One of my I'm the please try to take it very positively. The reason is that these are my own experiences, which I'm trying to share it with you. My GS got selected. One of my student who was very brainy and very well behaved student from my campus, right? So he got elected as a GS, and he came to me, ma'am, and said that, ma'am, I would like to take a few advices from you that how can I play my role over here, right? So I said, really, are you interested to make it effective for this group of the institutions? He said, yes, ma'am. I said, okay, fine. So for the first thing, if you remember, go back to our own beautiful story of Pula Deshpande and Chiji Pularani. I don't know how many of you have seen that the drama or maybe read that book. The teacher, the way he transformed, right? That teacher who transformed that girl as a queen is the process of transformation. So I started working with him, and I told him the first thing. The first thing, you are taking the responsibility of this campus as a GS. Number two, you will be the role model for the next batches. And if you decide this, I think you need to change in terms of right from your attire to your attendance to your performance, the way you conduct yourself as a leader in this campus. And I told him that please see to it that I'm talking about in 2004, right? The name of this student is Uday Matpati, and who is now based in Singapore, doing extremely well, right? And I told him that, Uday, you have to create yourself as one of the example to the students and the generation, that he is the one who laid this legacy in this institute or in this campus. And in terms of that, I said, you have to work, and this is what I have told him. So what happened, both of us, we became a wonderful partner, and we tried to figure it out that what students want in campus. And I think that is very, very important. Then we did a lot of research, then we did the academic research. It's not only student feedback, but then we started conducting a lot of research activities. We formed the groups. We said that this company, that company, these are the projects, and that helped us to connect very well with it. My last part, which I'm going to talk to you, is industry, right? That how I'm going to give you another presentation that what industry is expecting us to perform better. So here I'm making a point is that we have to involve student. If you look at it, strategic pillar 1, 2, 3 are interrelated, are interdependent. Unless the learning is done, unless the teaching is done, unless the curriculum is designed properly, we cannot do it, right? And therefore, the process has to be imbibed very well in ourselves, right? And the procedures, right? The concept has to be there at the back of the mind of the whole institute. And then the faculty have to take effort to really perform very well with the help of tools and techniques. And that tools and techniques are research, right? That's very important. Without that, you cannot. And then your other methods which you use, then course plans and the videos and innovation in pedagogy, maybe whatever you want. But I think that is required to be done very well. Okay. Now the third part which I'm coming to is excellence in the curriculum. Of course, we need to give the renewed curriculum. I have seen one professor who used to come with notebook
Madam,
with.
we can continue until 12 hours 5 minutes, including question answer session and vote of thanks, madam.
Okay, fine. You can pause me anytime. Okay, I can close it, not to worry, uh, because my document is the very long one, right? So I hope I don't know. Are the faculty members enjoying this discussion? Can I get some feedback through the smiley, please?
Definitely, madam. You can continue further also if you
If
need.
I can get that, then I can continue, or I can really wind it up also at speed, not an issue, right? But I would like to understand that I hope my students are, the faculty participants are learning, because almost 80, 92 people are, I can see as a participant, 87 are there. So if I can get some questions in the meantime and reactions, I think that will help me a lot to continue, because you know it very well. The teacher can continue unless the students they give some reactions, right, or feedback in terms of non-verbal communication, and that helps teacher to become motivated for those 40 minutes or 1 hour. So thank you. So I'll continue, and we can discuss it later. So this is the third pillar which I'm trying to share it with all of you, that yes, we need to have the renewed curriculum. Gone are the days where we were talking. I was talking about our professor who used to come in class with her own register, which she learned at the time of her 11th standard and 12th standard of accounts. So I used to ask her that, why are you not changing this? Why can't you use a book taking in class, right? And then she said, no, I am very happy with this, because this was my basic concept, which has been cleared by my professor. And then I am taking the new books and new methodologies to the class. But then she said that I am not a professor of a typical the management other subject, but I'm a professor of accounts. So my board plan is more effective. And I solve the questions on board, the problems, so that the students can understand how to write and how to. So look at the perspective and look, this is her own way of teaching, right? And she said that what I do, I use the PPTs, and I use my document files for the students to use it in class for solving those questions, right? And she said that then what I do, I have 4 or 5 windows open that help me to get the balance sheets of the various corporates which I open in front of them. So not necessarily only one tool, but I'm taking 2, 3 the windows along with me, which helps me to really contribute effectively. And therefore, she said that every time I see to it that the new concept has been added in my curriculum, though we are affiliated with University of Pune, I see to it that what kind of changes are happening in the accounting system or in chartered accountant offices, so that I can make the changes and can learn. So renewed is not the responsibility, the revising the syllabus or renewing the syllabus is not the responsibility of only universities but I think it is a responsibility of a teacher who goes in class. The reason is that he has to understand the what kind of temperament of the class is, right? Because we know it very well as per the profile of the class. And therefore, how many of us, this is again an innovative pedagogy which can be used by you, is that prepare the class profile, right? Class profile, it means that do you have the name of the student, his 10th marks, 12th marks, right? His first year marks, right? Then you will understand how the person is progressing in the class. Nowadays, we have ERP system, and these ERP systems are very strong enough, which gives you a wonderful understanding about your participant or a class student, that what he is learning, how is he learning, what are his challenges, and how can we really develop to the next level. And then that gives you input to make the changes in your curriculum, right? That you can ask I always divided my batch into A and B division. A and B division in terms of A student, the quality student, and B student. So what I used to do for A student, I used to create the assignments which are more tougher, right? Where they need to take a lot of effort to identify the solutions to that. And for B, it was little mild, but at the same time, it is more challenging. So we have to really divide the participants or the students in our class and see to it that they really learn effectively from our pedagogy, right? And then used to give them a lot of inputs, books, so that they can develop themselves to get placed. Okay, enable the business of learning and teaching to create innovative new products and business methods, right? Every day now, if you look at it, the companies are coming, the products are coming in a different. So now take an example, design thinking is one of the very core concepts to be used in our engineering programs, right? Business analytics is to be the part of your management education, right? And so we have to really identify the upcoming areas for each of our programs, each of our courses, so that we can really train them effectively. And that is what National Education Policy is talking about. And the quality assurance through the approval, monitoring, and review cycle, right? 15 days, 1 month, if your semester is divided into 6 months, right? And then if you started the classes, I think every month we need to take the feedback of the student, right? And we have to analyze it. We have to really identify what they are trying to make a point. And that should not be yes or no. We should ask them the open-ended question, right? Open-ended, describe, explain, right? I think they should give their own mind, or maybe you can interact in the class with the students and try to figure it out, that what they have learned from this curriculum, are they really able to grasp what we all are teaching to them, and is it really a true outcome based education? And that will help us to really ensure the excellence in curriculum by adding new subjects or value added programs, or be asking them to go for the certifications, or even we can ask them to pick the topics from the other departments also. And that is what precisely National Education Policy is talking about, that gives the open basket to the student, or we always talk about a choice-based credit system. So many electives are available, and student can go and pick those electives as per their choices, right? In Harvard Business School, in Harvard University, if you look at it, they have 3 types of professors, right? And the faculty, the student can select the class, right? Three faculties are teaching the same subject, right? And for that, the student can pick up the faculty. He can attend these 3 classes first, and then he can say that, okay, I would like to go for this faculty member because his approach of teaching is totally different than the other one, and that suits me, right? I think that's very important. What suits me, what is good for me, let the students should take the decision. And that is what has been really very well explained in this National Education Policy. I think we all need to go very deep into it to understand what the concepts are, or what the framework is giving us the guideline, and that will help us to design our learning, giving the experiences in learning in classroom. Second, your the excellence in teaching, and third one, that how and what curriculum is to be delivered in our campuses, right? And I think that will give us a better age to transform the student life in our campuses. Yeah, I think this part I would like to close it here. Moving ahead. Now, if you look at it, this part is very interesting, which can really help you to also think about. I have designed it for my own people, but this is the learning and teaching strategic framework, which is required to be implemented successfully. Now, what it is, right? So what kind of activities we should do it? So I hope you're understanding the topic is given to me is not that easy, right? It took almost so many years for me to come and frame this effectively. So if you look at it, we are talking about identifying many the programs. The main strategy is that these 3 pillars are there, and for those 3 pillars, these are the activities which we have to ensure in the campus. So maybe the institute and divisional learning processes, and then annual plan, teaching enhanced process. If you look at it one by one, curriculum renewal, principles of the university, curriculum, how it is to be, these are being laid down, enabling the business of learning and teaching, quality statement, teaching performance expectations framework. All these are the part of achieving this.
retention and success strategy for the student, good assessment guide, what does it mean by good assessment, how it is to be done, key degree framework, right, what is to be ensured by the faculty members in class, funding strategies, then your student experience strategies, achieving the we can say that how can we really create a high achiever strategy in the campus, especially for the student. So the two parts you can see that one is how we can operationalize, how it can complement to the strategy, right? So that is required to be linked every time, and that can help you to work effectively. Student space design strategy in terms of your infrastructure, that what size, what kind of the softwares, what kind of the labs and other things are required. I think that is also a part of this. Then we have strategic research plan, library vision, and then your community and partnership strategic plan, and then university policy framework. This goes deep down in the strategic part of the whole university, that how this learning, it's not that easy, it's very complicated, it's very, very, very complicated, and everyone has to be very, very committed to implement it. And in the whole process, the benefit is not university, but the benefit is individual faculty member and student at large. And that is the focus which I have tried to give it in preparing this strategic plan for learning and all those. And then I have divided into the 4 parts, that is rolling implementation plan. What these are my objective, these are my actions, these are my indicators, these are who are the responsible person, and how much funds are required to be given for this particular activity. So a complete guide map, a complete road map, a complete strategy plan has been prepared, right? So that helps me also to have the checkpoint or control it effectively, and also ensure those things very, very successfully for the student, faculty, industry, and all stakeholders, internal and external also. So this is what I wanted to share it with you about the learning and teaching plan for our campus, which is also, I'm sure, because now I think only 10 minutes, 15 minutes are there with me.
Thanks a lot, madam. We will move to question answer session now. So the participants can just unmute themselves and feel free to ask, share their views and doubts if any.
Sarone sir, madam would like to continue for some more time. She can continue because she is having time.
I am expecting
Yes, madam,
students
you
to,
continue,
I'm
madam.
expecting part. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
I
madam.
wanted to,
Yes,
okay.
madam. There is a
Okay,
time,
okay.
still time we have. You can continue.
Okay, how much time I have, sir?
You can continue up to 12:05 or 12:10 also you can continue.
10, you can extend 10 to 15 minutes, madam.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry,
I
madam.
think there are no questions. It's really good. I don't know. Either they are there, or either I'm really a good professor that I was able to convince my approaches to all the faculty. The second part which I wanted to share it with you was the industry part of it. The in industry, I am trying to make a presentation over here quickly. Yeah. So if you are interested, I can talk about it, because the role of industry is really to be taken at a different level in terms of MOUs, in terms of industry, not only industry 4.0, but industry 5.0. That's what I'm trying to do it. I think here we need to involve industry in our teaching processes, giving experiences, and even giving experiences, and at the same time research activities of the campus. The industry can be involved. Industry is expecting us to contribute at very large level. I have I have seen that industries, they give us the real-time problems, real-time issues, which can be solved together by faculty and students. The time has come where industry can bring in the campuses in terms of setting the labs, in terms of having them on our boards, in terms of now, Pooja, what you want to say? I'm not able to hear you. Pooja Changedia, I think she's asking something. Okay, so industry part is very important, and if you look at it, industry 5.0 has become more of now sustainable, human centric, and resilient, right? So the Indian industry is growing, in the Indian industry is changing, coming with the innovative practices, and they are looking for the kind of staff or the people who can come and participate, work effectively, right? So we need to create that kind of mindset through our teaching system and MOUs with this industry. So if you look at it, we know it that how industry is changing today. Industry is talking about from more of, initially we were into mechanization processes, right? But today if you look at it, we are talking about IoT, we are talking about blockchain, we are talking about artificial intelligence, right? Cyber security. These are the new things which are coming. And for every faculty, in terms of faculty, it means of, I'm talking about the departments for computer, for mechanical engineering, for electrical, right? For automobile, you will find that the expectations of industries are changing. The kind of the kind of innovation which is happening over there, because these companies are more of digital in nature, they are data driven, and they are interconnected industry. And therefore, we need to create our curriculum, our learning methods that they can really develop such type of the employees to work in these companies, right? And not only that, if you look at it, the kind of infrastructure which is changing in this country is remarkable, and that is required. If you look at it, the robotics or the robotics education and use of mechanization, and especially for that, is going very immensely, and that is required to be taken into the consideration while we are talking about it. At the same time, in terms of sustainability, the companies are talking about recycling, use of the natural resources, reducing waste, and environmental impact. So these sustainable goals are also helping us to identify the courses or design the courses which can contribute to the to these industries by developing these students. Indian SME is also changing, right? And if you look at it, the SMEs have changed. They have realized that how technology is playing important role for improving the productivity and reliability of their and that productivity is become a business strategy of these SMEs, right? And they have realized that reducing the cost, we know it very well that why China is a leading country in the whole world, right? The reason is the low cost strategy and improvement in productivity is the business model of that country, and that is really giving a wonderful profitability to them. And has I don't know how many of you have read the China story, you will find that the poverty has been eradicated, and then the speed is at very high, right? And that's because the SMEs and role of industry has played an important role in this country. And the same is applicable to us. Even today, China is saying that we would like to support India for the overcoming this COVID-19 issue in the country, and that has become a political, the international political pressure or a point to this country. And the reason is that they are able to provide it because they know it very well. They are the big seller, and as a big company, they can sell these products to the India. So we need to change. We need to understand these models in our engineering domains, in our lab domains, in our management. And if we create that kind of system in the campus, I think that will help us a lot to improve the student thought processes. And I think that can really create an impact on our overall education. And therefore, if you look at it, we need to learn many things from the Japan and even US, Germany, and China models. And those models will definitely will help us to upskilling and addressing the skill shortage which is happening in our country, right? So government also has planned many we can say the seventh plan and 12th, sorry, not seventh plan, 12th plan is very dynamic, which talks about how ecosystem can be connected. So government, industry, and academia, they can become the partner with each other. AICT is also supporting in terms of their many schemes are available. I think those are required to be understood very well by all of us and can be implemented successfully for the student development. So this is what I feel I wanted to share it with all of you. And yes, if you have any questions, I would like to answer.
Madam, there is one question in the chat box by Arun Selval. How far is mentoring important in teaching learning?
Of course, mentoring is very important. If you look at it, it's because mentoring, it means that the teacher, the mentor, has a great amount of experience, knowledge, and information, which helps the mentee to change his mindset, right? And this relation can be, we know it very well, right? I'm sure that many of our in your days, your professor are still there to whom you are going and asking him questions, right? Especially those who have done their PhDs, right? We go back to our own PhD guide, and during the guideship process, he becomes our mentor, right? We talk to him so much and we ask him the questions because his experience, his knowledge helps us to change. And that is what precisely the role of mentor is. It can be a lifelong, it can be changed as per the situation and experience through which the mentee goes. So the mentor and mentee relationship is wonderful, and that process has to be there in the campus, and that will help to have a strong bond between the faculty members and the student. So has to be there. Thank you for asking this question. Yes. Yeah.
Madam, there are some questions in the chat box.
1 second. Let me see.
The participants can also ask, but there are some questions in the chat box, madam.
Yes, sir. Can I ask?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sure.
Madam, actually, we have been going through this online teaching model since almost 1.5 years,
Yes.
before pandemic also.
Yes.
So the situation is that we have been going through a lot of teaching and learning tools, student engagement techniques, and like that. But after a certain long span of time, we are coming that constantly teaching in front of the laptop screen and not having to look into the student's eyes, that is a eye to eye contact. It is a bit difficult to remain motivated, especially for conceptual lectures kind of sessions, so where you have to explain it at a length continuously. So how to remain motivated while teaching, and also on the same side from the student side. So sometimes students like to see the teacher's face. The kinesthetic learners are there who like to do something and then learn the concepts. So from their perspective also, how they can be motivated by us as a teachers. So that is my question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I think two things we need to keep it in mind. One is that the learning or attention the span of a student is very less, and that becomes really difficult. And nowadays, if you look at it, you have sliding options, right? And the students really, they can't concentrate. And for this, I think a blend of learning methodologies to be used, right? There are many apps which are available, which will help you to create a wonderful, what I can say that the quizzes, right? The videos you can bring in, right? Sometimes not necessarily you only teach, right? You can click the video links and you can play those. I think that can really help you a lot. Ask them the questions, give them certain the assignments or the role plays, even on the screen, right? Nowadays, I know that the on the screen I gave one of the in one of the faculty development program, they asked me to conduct one case study, on a particular topic. So what I did, I sent the material in advance, and I asked all the out of that, I said that I need now four the participants, those who can play the role, right? And we I started conducting the session from my house, and then and we asked them to turn on their videos, right? So everyone was been asked to run the video, right? So because most of the time people they don't run the video. They now if you look at right now my screen, it's only I am available, right? And others are not there, so it's really difficult to understand what is happening over there, right? So here, if you give such kind of assignment, the role plays to the students, that can help you. And the concepts cannot be taught only through with the help of blackboard or whiteboard, right? You can really use the various techniques. Now take, I don't know how many of you have visited Byju's, or maybe there are many the Khan Academy, right, where he is using those. Maybe you can pick those. Maybe you can take those concepts in the class and engage them very effectively. There are many methods, it depends on the type of students which are available in your class, and that you can do it very effectively. And see to it that not your class should run more than 40 minutes, right? I have reduced my timetable in campus, and I've asked my faculty members to have the class for 40 minutes. But for 40 minutes, they have to engage themselves for arranging all those things. At least they take 10 to 15 minutes to organize the class, and then they run it very effectively. Yeah, I hope I answered it. Yes, there is
Yes,
a
ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
how
Thank
to
you.
make the education system dynamic enough, especially for private institutions, to accommodate the high expectations, okay, of NEP, when the investment in resources, time, faculty, infrastructure, and stakeholder, okay, or willingness is not there that much vibrant. Mostly the policies on the paper only. What should be the approach for the quality excellence in given time frame? Yeah, if you look at it right now, everyone is in the tough phase, going through a phase which is really challenging. In terms of organization, if you look at it, collection of fees, payment, salaries, right, investment is becoming a tough. And right now there is so much of uncertainty. That's what's going to happen tomorrow. That is the next year, right? So the management is also holding their hands on disbursing the funds and other things. But I'm sure that the private institutions, because they want to remain in the market, so they have to. And there you will find that private institutions, they take little quick decisions in terms of infrastructure, faculty, and all other things, right? So that there you will not find the problems or challenges. And in case of the government-aided organizations, I think it again. I feel we need to understand what others are. The everyone is in a problem right now, right? So the change, and at the same time, we have to understand the change is a very slow process. You cannot make, you don't have a wand in a hand, magic wand, and which you can really turn and change the system. It takes time. And right now, if you are expecting all these changes, time, faculty, infrastructure, all this to be done immediately, will take time. And therefore, I think we need to be very conservative in our own approaches, that what are the important areas, or we have to identify the two decision making process. One, what is urgent and what is important. So give more focus on urgent and less focus on important, right? These are the important things, no doubt about it. But then I think what is required is that we also need to understand how much money, how much resources, how much time we have, and based on that we can have this decision. And if the funds are there with the organization, I think you can be ahead, and they can immediately move fast in the market to create a wonderful brand. Yeah. What is the next question? There are 3 messages. 1 second. So I try to ask the Dr. A, Dr. S. P1 is the name, something. Okay. 1 second. Let me see. Ma'am, how can we improve the industry institute collaboration? It's a beautiful question, actually, Vishal. Let us start with ourselves. How many of us went to the industry and tried to find out in your own area what the industry is doing, nearby industry? How many of you have taken industry projects in your hand, or research projects in your hand, right? have you contributed? Have you really went to them and helped them a lot, right? In terms of changing. Now the examples again I'll give you. The Tech Mahindra, I'll come to you, Kaustubh, that ICT infrastructure through the CSR funds and all. See, we are always, we have this approach which we have to change it. And that is always a taker approach, Mana Dyasarkha as an institute, right? Industry expect what you give them back, right? तुमचे alumni तिथे किती काम करतायत? How are they? What is the relationship of that alumni with the industry? It's very important. Your placement when it happens, then how many years? I remember one of the leading newspaper in Pune. I placed 21 students in that newspaper, and every year newspaper used to come to me and used to ask me directly, Dr. Gankar, give me your 2 people, give me your 10 people. I would like to take them directly. You recommend, I don't want CVs. You recommend, you identify, and you send me. I believe in you. This is industry. Faith, trust, collaboration. Collaboration doesn't work on paper by signing the MOUs. It is actually delivering it. And for that, teacher has to work 24/7. The priority is job, and second priority is, I don't want to say that, but it's family. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to sacrifice that? Industry wants you to be always on toes. If they ask you the help, are you able to give them the internship, the interns to work with them? Do you monitor them? I used to call all my industry people, 180 companies I used to sit and I used to call, being a director of the institute. And I used to ask them that how my students are working. Are you happy? What changes you wanted? Where they are lagging? Right? I used to do that in 2000 and 2001. And therefore, I was able to connect more than 600 companies with me today. And right, if I tell them that this is what I wanted, they will be able to do it. But more to be giver rather than taker. And then people will come to you, right? Then you can say that, can the companies give you ICT infrastructure to the CSR fund? Yes. But ते सुद्धा बघतात ना की तुम्हाला पैसे दिल्यानंतर what use you are doing, how much faculty, how many students are doing, what contribution. Infosys, I still remember Sudha Kulkarni said that, Sairi, give me 2-3 schools from Maharashtra where they really want computers. CSR funds available at Mandi, they are not here to give you immediately, right? They want that it should be, go and check your College of Engineering Pune, you will find that they are way ahead of all the engineering colleges. They are thinking about launching their own satellite. How many private institutions and how many engineering colleges, including mine, I'm asking myself. Then why companies will come to us? Why the institute has a legacy of alumni? Though we are the first one, though we have started in 2016 or 7, or maybe your institution, your college, right? तुम्ही किती वेळा जाऊन भेटलात तुमच्याच लोकांना मॅनेजमेंटला, राईट? की तुमचे कॉन्टॅक्ट्स आहेत आपल्याला इथे वापरायचे, आणि आम्ही इथे वापर करतो ह्याचा. सॉरी टू स्पीक इन मराठी, बट then my question is, how many of you took the ownership that I would like to create the alumni base? Any of you, if you decide that we have 5,000, kiti आहेत तुमचे? I don't know, 10,000 students as an alumni, or 15,000, 20,000, or maybe 100. Have you created a cell for this alumni? Have you tried to find out that we are your mentor? This is the role of a mentor. With संकुचित बुद्धी आहे की माझ्या रोलवर आहे, मला असाइन केलंय, तेवढेच दिवस मी करीन. Isn't it? He is with me for this. This is the role only for this many years, and I will give it. No, it should be beyond. How can you become a popular teacher unless you play a role as a mentor? Mentor हा तुम्ही आणलेली आत्ताची सिस्टीम आहे, right? Do you become a solid pillar to the students of your campus that if I go back to that teacher, she will help me or he will help me? That is the role of a teacher. That is the role of a mentor. Think about it. And then in that, mag he people, if you are available with that, then you go to the CSR fund and ask them that this is what we are doing. This is what we are actually looking for. They will definitely help you. म्हणून मग आता काय करतात? There are so many paperworks. They will ask you that, do you have 12B? Do you have ranking? Do you have your number of students? Do you have, what is your placement? What is your research? How many patents you have? All these questions, why are they asking? They are checking the capability of faculty member, capability of leader, and capability of students to deliver those things properly. It should not be only giver. We should be that's what I'm saying. The आपण सारखं taker होतो, rather than taker, we should be more of giver. Go and work around with your own companies, and I'm sure that they will come forward to give you the support, right? And that is required to be explored very, very powerfully. So role of mentor, role of teacher, role of, and that's why, again, going back to these three important pillars are our institutions are teaching and education institutions. Our focus should be on imparting skills, imparting the concepts to them. And once you do that, I think the rest will come automatically. Then you will have good companies coming to you. You will have good CSR funds coming to you. You will have great ranking. You will have great accreditations. You will have wonderful marks, right? Whatever the criteria are. But for that, our aim should be on academics only, nothing else. And if it is done powerfully, I'm sure that the possibility is of going to the high level is very, very high. I hope, Kaustubh, I tried to answer. Yes, funds will be there. There are so much funds available. International funds are also available, but then they come, they check your capacity, they check your appetite, they check your, I have visited Birmingham University, and I have found that they have formed a research and development lab with Munjal Group, right, TVS Group, and they are working on electric cycle and electric vehicle for this country, right? International funds are also available, but then they see that are you able to deliver? का तुम्ही फक्त lip service आहे, they check it. So you have to really what I can say, that stand out from the crowd and to show them that yes, all our Baramati Vidya Pratishthan faculty members are so keen to make the transformation of our own campus. And if it is there, I think you will get the funds very effectively. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, madam. So we are moving to vote of thanks. I request Professor Todkari to go for vote of thanks. Meanwhile, the participants can switch on their cameras so that we can have the screenshots. All the participants are requested to start their cameras.
Yes, ठीक है माझे दोन ठीक आहे का आता तेवढंच.
Thank you, madam, for enlightening us by sharing your valuable thoughts and experiences about strategic planning for teaching, learning, and industry collaboration. Einstein said that an ounce of practical is better than tons of theory. Madam, I can say that you are an exemplary teacher with the experiences, practical experiences you shared about your teaching learning. You have thrown a light on three strategic pillars: excellence in learning, excellence in teaching, and excellence in curriculum. It was a great pleasure to listen to you, and it was a great pleasure to learn from you. Thank you, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Hivrekar, sir, for inviting me for this particular interaction. I'm thankful to your principal also and all the participants. I hope I was able to present the thoughts on the strategic learning and teaching process along with Industry Connect. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Very, very excellent session, madam. It is very interactive and really very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Can I leave now?
Yes, madam. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. All the best to all of you. Thank you.
Now, our next speaker, the director of College of Engineering Pune, has already joined, Dr. Ahuja sir. So without wasting any time, we are going to